Manchester United back in FA Cup action after winning it last year. The holders, Manchester United, we are back looking to retain our trophy. Hopefully we can get there to Wembley again this year. That was a fantastic run last season. Really thoroughly enjoyed winning the FA Cup for Manchester United. I was over the moon. I haven't seen Manchester United lift the FA Cup in so many years, and it was just such a nice feeling. Loved the FA Cup, always loved it growing up as a kid, and just couldn't wait for Manchester United to finally win it again. So we go for our request to win it for a record 13th time. Home to Reading. On paper, Manchester United, the favourites going into the tie against the Championship team, who are placed third in the Championship, behind Bournemouth, behind Brighton and Newcastle. It's not going to be an easy game for Manchester United, this, because the teams at the top of the Championship are usually really difficult to beat in these rounds in the FA Cup. Usually, though, it's the bottom teams in the round, the bottom of the Premier League, the likes of Sunderland, them sort of teams that struggle to beat these teams. But they're on a winning run, these teams at the top of the Championship. They've won a lot of games all season, and they've probably got a lot of confidence going into these games. So we've got to be wary of these. We did lose to Leeds it was quite a few years ago now. We did lose to Leeds 1-0 at Old Trafford, and I will not forget that. That was a horrific defeat for Manchester United in the FA Cup. So we haven't always had it our own way, but last season luck certainly was on our side, winning it. We got scraped through games and all sorts last season. We struggled to beat the likes of Sheffield United at home. Got a bit fortunate against West Ham, but we ended up winning it. It was really, really great. And I would expect Jose Mourinho to make some changes for the lineup for this game. Now, I don't know how many changes he's going to make, because he's obviously going to take the FA Cup seriously, as well as he takes all competition seriously. He's going to definitely want to win the FA Cup. I think he's only won it once in his whole Chelsea career, if I'm not mistaken. So he's going to want to put that right and win a second one in the coming years at Manchester United, because it is one of the top trophies to win outside the Premier League and the Champions League. As I say, I would expect a few changes. I would not be surprised to see Romero in goal. David Hare, fantastic against West Ham, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him come out for one game. The defence could be shuffled. We heard that Luke Shaw was almost fit, so if Luke Shaw is ready, he could be given a run out at left back. If not, it's going to either be obviously Darmian or Blind. We will have to wait and see, but it's a good opportunity for sure if he's fit to come back in. I would go for Fosu Mensah on the right of the defence. Valencia's played a lot of football. He might choose to go for someone else. I just hope he doesn't go for Ashley Young out there. Then the central defensive partnership, we're going to have to wait and see what he goes with. I would go with Tuanzebe, and it's who else he wants to go with. He could go with Blind, he could go with Jones. We will have to wait and see. He could go with Rojo. We will have to wait and see who he decides to go with in that centre of defensive partnership. But someone along them lines I would go for anyway. The midfield is going to be probably changed around a bit. You could see Fellaini starting in this game. Whether I want him to start at all, I would prefer him to start in this sort of game, because we could probably get away with it. We've got Liverpool on the horizon in the next week, so we do not want to be playing the likes of Fellaini against them. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Fellaini come into the midfield, and I wouldn't be too disheartened for this game if he is to come in. He may choose to keep some of the players in this team. We may still see Paul Pogba in midfield. He doesn't seem to rate Schneiderlin, so we could well see Paul Pogba and Herrera kept in the midfield. He could decide to change it a bit. I'm not too sure. We've got options anyway. He could see Morgan Schneiderlin. I think he's on his way out, but Bastian Schweinsteiger, we still don't know what's happening with him, whether he's going to go or not. He seems to want to just stay and collect his payday, so potentially we could see him come in for either one of them two, potentially Herrera or Pogba. We will have to wait and see. That's if he's playing a midfield 3. If he's just playing a midfield 2, you could still see one of them two, or you could see Fellaini and Schweinsteiger in there. We will have to wait and see. But this is a game that we should be winning, whatever of these midfield options and these striker options that we have out there, out of the main squad players anyway. I can't see him dipping too much into the youth. Louis van Gaal did it in the League Cup. That one game against MK Dons. Okay, there was a few players, the likes of Kagawa and Hernandez and Welbeck, but mostly the squad was made up a lot of youth players, the likes of Janko, players like that, and it just wasn't good enough for Manchester United. You don't want to go too weak, because this is a good competition that Manchester United could win, because there's not many competitions. You can only win 4 in a season, and it's not likely we're going to win the Premier League this season. Obviously the League Cup is one that we could win. Most people though call that a Mickey Mouse competition, though I will still be happy if we won the League Cup as well as the FA Cup. Into the forward areas, we could see some change in the forward areas. I would personally give Rashford a chance up front. Now, I mean, he might choose to bring Wayne Rooney back in and play him up front, and then Rashford and Martial out wide. I wouldn't be against that either. We will have to wait and see, but somewhere along the lines of a similar team to that. So it'd only be one youth player really in 2-1 Zebi, and obviously Fosu Mensah at the back. We could make some other changes. That's sort of a mix and match team that I think he should really go with, and what he may well go with. Reading, they did lose to Arsenal not too long ago in the League Cup. I mean, they're near the top of the Championship, but I think Manchester United should be beating these comfortably, maybe 2 or 3-0. I mean, Manchester United are really on form at the moment. It's just whether some of these squad players, if they come in. I mean, Rashford was fantastic when he come on the other night against West Ham. So if he can play like that again, if Martial comes into the starting lineup, he didn't feature against West Ham and plays as well as he did it in the previous game against Middlesbrough, we should have way too much for these. Their top scorer has only got 8 goals. That is compared to Zlatan's 18 goals. So, but well, probably Zlatan will probably be on the bench. Maybe even Wayne Rooney will be on the bench if he doesn't start. He has been out injured, so we will have to wait and see. But I would keep a couple, 2 or 3 reserves, at least the likes of Mkhitaryan, Pogba and Zlatan, some of them on the bench, just in case it does go wrong, because we do know what happened when Jose Mourinho was Chelsea manager and they lost to Bradford, and they were a couple of goals up in that game. So we've got to be wary. They're not easy games, but I would expect Manchester United, with the role that they're on at the moment in the Premier League, I think we've won the last 7 games, which we haven't done since 2011 or something crazy like that. So Manchester United have got to be heavy favourites for this game. If we do lose this game, I will be very, very disappointed going out the FA Cup so early on. Even though we've got a lot of games to play coming up thick and fast soon, with the League Cup coming up, the Europa League will be coming back, but I don't care, because Manchester United should be playing 60 plus games a season, and it's a load of fucking bollocks if anyone says players are tired. These are professional athletes. We've got a big squad. We should be able to cope with this. But we will have to wait and see. Anyway, make sure to like this video. Hopefully Manchester United can get over the line in this game. I think that we're going to have too much for Reading. I'm going to go for Manchester United winning this 3-0. Make sure to like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And I'll talk to you all again soon. See ya.